We are joined right now, as promised, by Richard Perle. Richard Perle, resident fellow for the American Enterprise Institute for Public Policy Research, and former, of course, Assistant Secretary of Defense, served in the Reagan administration, the Bush administration. And, Mr. Perle, a pleasure to have you on the show, sir. Thank you very much.
Pleasure's mine.
Well, thank you. All right, let's start, if we can, with the investigation and where we stand with this whole bombing and the radicalization that obviously took place of these two brothers. Yesterday we had former Attorney General Mukasey, who said that these two brothers did not act alone. We know that these students were arrested yesterday, but I think the point that what I want to discuss with you is the failure of the system. Before we talk about radicalization, not only do we know that the dead bomber left the country, never should have been allowed into the country because of his immigration status, but nobody picked up on it. The FBI interviewed him. No red flags raised. Now we find out Saudi Arabia wrote to the Homeland Security Department about him, saying, we're not letting him in our country. He wants to come to Mecca. You better watch this guy. Didn't register. And now one of the three students arrested yesterday, he left the country on a violated student visa, and he was allowed back in. I mean, is the system totally broken?
Well, it appears to be, doesn't it?
Yes.
When you have so many failures, and we don't know how many other failures there are, of course. Yeah, it's broken. And in part, it's because we don't have a single uniform identification system, sadly. We should. That is, everyone entering the United States should be required to carry a biometric identifier. And I know civil libertarians worry about that, but the cause for concern would be if there were abuse by the government, and I frankly think we can manage that better than we can afford the chaos of not knowing who's in the country, who's going from. So we need significant reform here.
All right, well, let's talk about who's in the country. And these two brothers, of course, were in the country. They had spent many years in the country before this all happened. And you know and I know that there's a radicalization going on. And you know and I know why it happens. It's not because, they're offshoots of al-Qaeda, and if only we could eliminate al-Qaeda, all our troubles would be solved, which is what the administration puts forward. The administration that doesn't like the word terror, doesn't like the word Islamist, doesn't like the word jihad. And as long as we remain blind to those words, those factors, those ideas, and the true influences on these people and how they're radicalized, we're in trouble. Now, I know that there's a great video that people can watch at the clarionproject.org. It's called Third Jihad, Radical Islam's Vision for America. Talk about what's really going on in this country with people who want to do us harm.
Sure. Well, you've put your finger on the problem. These terrorists, young kids often, they're not born terrorists. They become terrorists because they become captivated by a radical image, an image of a triumphant Islam. And that is propagated around the world. In some cases, it's completely obvious, as in Pakistan, for example, but even in the U.S. And it's propagated by radical clerics, for the most part, often funded by Saudi Arabia. They're a sect, the Wahhabi sect, and you find them pretty much in mosques around the country because Saudi money supports them. This is discussed in this really extraordinary documentary called The Third Jihad, and I think you can simply go to thirdjihad.com to see it.
Okay.
But there is a radical vision, and that radical vision is the world dominated by Islamism, and it's being propagated in many different ways in many different places. And I've no doubt that when we have all the facts about the Boston bombing, this will prove to be the pivotal event, that is, these young people accepting that radical vision and acting on it.
We're talking to Richard Perle, resident fellow for the American Enterprise Institute for Public Policy Research, of course, former Assistant Secretary of Defense, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Let me ask you about another issue, if I might, sir, and that is Syria. You talk about a system gone wrong. It's the words of this administration. Now, today, the latest, I don't know if you've heard, I probably have, is that Secretary of Defense Hagel says that the administration is seriously reconsidering. They're seriously considering now arming the quote-unquote rebels. And if you could figure out who the rebels all are, you let me know. But that's the latest. And, of course, we've seen the red line drawn, the threats of it being a game changer, the announcement by Secretary of Defense a couple of weeks ago that chemical weapons had been used, and then the president backtracking saying we think they might have been used, but if they were, we don't know who used them. I mean, forget the signals it sends to the people in Syria. I mean, what is it? What signal does it send to Iran, who's really the big threat with regard to Israel and our allies in the region?
Well, I'm sure the Iranians are delighted to see us flailing and floundering as we are and have been. American Syrian policy is a disaster. More than 2 years ago, we had an opportunity to try to shape the opposition to the Assad regime, and we didn't do it. We stayed out. A vacuum was created by our absence, and it was filled by people who have been shaping the opposition so that now it is emerging as an Islamist opposition. We should never, ever take the view that because we decide not to get involved, no one else is going to get involved. Obviously, the Saudis, the Qataris, wealthy Saudi businessmen of the Wahhabi persuasion all got involved. The money flowed to their friends and supporters. And so today we're facing an opposition that is largely dominated by radical elements. It's a tragedy.
And, of course, the danger that it does pose to Israel, to our friends in the region, and ultimately to Americans in the area as well. And God forbid, this country possibly, too, if they could make it small enough, the chemical weapons stockpile, which really, I mean, they really, when I say they, I mean our government, our military has admitted in a hearing with John McCain just the other day that they really don't know, can't say with certainty where they all are, who has control of them, or where they might be headed.
Yeah, well, chemical weapons are relatively easy to hide because they don't require a lot of space. Enough nerve agent to kill hundreds of thousands of people would fit in a kitchen pantry. So it's a real problem. And by the way, those people who thought it should be easy to find what the Iraqis had should now recognize how easy it is to hide the lethal quantities of things like biological and chemical agents. So we have a serious problem that has been made much more serious by our failure to act in a timely fashion. And the idea that we are now going to plunge in, we will be very fortunate indeed if at this stage we can find people we want to assist in Syria. We certainly can't be happy with the Assad regime, and I think it should have gone a long time ago. But it's late in the game to have a significant influence over who does emerge as the successor.
So is he the lesser of two evils at this point?
No, I don't think he is the lesser of two evils. For one thing, I don't think it will end easily. If it continues as at present, it will be inconclusive and could go on for a very long time because I think neither side now has the ability to bring this to a conclusion. And during that extended incubation, the opposition will become only more extensively radicalized. So we should have acted a lot sooner. It may not be too late, but the problem, the daunting problem now is finding people that we can place some confidence in.
Mr. Perle, a fascinating conversation. I hope you'll come back, sir.
Sure. All the best.
Thank you very much. That's Richard Perle, resident fellow for the American Enterprise Institute and former Assistant Secretary of Defense. Worked, of course, in the Reagan administration and in the Bush administration as well.